Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be making over this dresser. It has been in my husband's family for quite some time. Probably had it over 10 years now. I think it was from Leon's. I'm honestly not too sure. Either way, it's not a super old antique piece of furniture. I believe it's called radiata pine. I was doing some research on Google and that's what I could find. It's basically pine without knots in it. So my hopes is that there's not going to be any bleed through, because this is my first time painting without a primer to really test out Fusion's capabilities. As always, we're going to start with removing the hardware. I didn't even realize that this hardware came with like a backer. I thought it was all one piece, so I actually liked it better without the back piece on the hardware. So you'll see that at the end. I also had my husband spray paint the hardware off camera, so you'll see that in the final reveal. And I am cleaning this piece with Simple Green all-purpose cleaner, just making sure I'm getting off any dust and dirt. Again, we've had this piece for quite a while, but it's actually in pretty great shape and it's not really that dirty. We use it in our spare bedroom and it hasn't really been used in the 3 years that it's been in our house. It's always good to make sure you clean your piece even if you don't think that it's that dirty, because you want to make sure that your paint adheres properly. After you're done cleaning your piece with whatever degreaser you're using, you just want to wipe it with some clean water to get rid of any residue. Since I'm not selling this piece, I'm not going to bother giving the inside a super good cleaning because it's pretty spotless already. But once I'm done all my scuff sanding and everything, I'm just going to give it a quick wipe out to get rid of any dust before we put any clothes into it. Since I'm not priming this piece, I was a bit nervous to try Fusion without any primer. So I just wanted to do a test where I scuff sanded the left side and then I didn't scuff sand the right side. I started out just scratching it lightly to see what would come off, and you can see that nothing's coming off on the scuff sand or the not scuff sanded side. And since I wasn't getting anything taken off, I scratched it really hard and I could not get any off of the side that I scuff sanded. But then when I went to the side that wasn't scuff sanded, you can see paint started coming off. So it is 100% worth it to scuff sand your pieces if you want them to last a while. After I was done testing out the paint's adhesion properties, I went ahead and sanded the entire piece using a 220 grit sandpaper. For the little spot that I tested on this drawer, I made sure to sand through completely on the area that I had painted over that wasn't scuff sanded. Because I'm going to be painting over it again, I want to make sure that underneath is also scuff sanded and not just above the paint. I sanded all of the flat surfaces with the orbital sander, and then I went ahead and hand sanded any areas that I couldn't reach. It's best not to use the orbital sander on any curved edges. You don't want to end up flattening it, so that's why I chose to hand sand around the edges of the drawers and then any spot I couldn't reach on the dresser. Once all my scuff sanding was done, I went ahead and wiped off all that dust with a damp rag. I like to have 2 damp rags just to make sure that I'm getting off all the dust, because it does accumulate on your rag quite fast, and I did vacuum off any dust prior to doing this, so that way my rag hopefully isn't as dirty, but I still use the 2 rags just to make sure that I'm getting rid of all dust before I'm painting. I am painting this dresser in Fusion's Casement. It is a nice bright white color, and I had a little bit left over, and I really hate these jar lids. They are so hard to remove if you have paint caked on it. So I decided to put a plastic baggie, and it actually worked really well. I was able to twist it off super easily, so I would recommend doing that because even if you try to not get paint on the rim, it still gets there somehow. So anyways, I went ahead and started painting the dresser, just doing light coats. It probably took me almost 5 coats. I think I did 4 and a few touch-ups because I didn't use any primer. I guess this is probably typical with white paint, but I definitely didn't think I would have to do, I guess, 4.5 coats. I was hoping that maybe 3 would be okay, but I just wasn't happy with how it was looking. So I just did as many as I needed to until I was happy with the outcome. After each coat of paint, if you want the smoothest finish possible, you just sand with a fine grit sanding pad or a sanding disc and get off any little bumps and texture that can happen. And then you just do this between each coat and wipe off the dust in between. I know it's difficult to see here. This is after the very first coat, and you can tell that even though the coverage looks really good, if you look really closely, you can see in the edges where it's a bit harder to get in. Even with the brush, I find the brush adds a little bit less paint than using the roller, and when you use the roller, it's hard to get an even finish in those cracks. So it looked pretty good. I was thinking, oh yeah, 3 coats, no problem, but nope, that didn't happen. And so then I was finally done with all the coats of paint. I went ahead and top coated it. Now Fusion does have a built-in primer and top coat, but I really don't like the texture of the Fusion paint when it dries. It feels just really dry and I just don't like it. So I only did one single coat of this Varathane Diamond Wood Finish top coat, and it just kind of made it feel a little bit smoother. Now, white is my least favorite color to paint with. I really hate painting with white. It looks really nice, but you can see every single little hair that pops up, and I'm a little crazy when it comes to hairs showing up on my furniture. So every time I went and applied this top coat, I kept getting little hairs here and there, and it was just driving me nuts. So that's why I don't paint with white very often. You can see every little imperfection that there is, but overall it turned out really nice, and I do really love the way that it looks. I know I had mentioned earlier that I am keeping this piece, and I'm actually using it as a diaper change table. So I'm going to put the change table pad on top, and it's just going to look really nice against the navy wall that I had painted. When you see the final reveal, I just ended up staging it as a dresser because I'm not totally finished with how I want it to look with the change table. So if you want to see how I'm going to kind of set up my stuff for that, I'll post a picture on my Instagram and you can follow me there at Small Town Flipper. Adding that single coat of top coat just gives it a nice satin sheen. It's still drying, but you can see with the light coming in from the window that it has just a nice little sheen to it. It's not matte without that top coat, and that's why I like using the satin diamond wood finish. I just find that it looks a little bit nicer. Now that we're all finished, let's have another look at the before, and now here's the after.